Hi everyone. Just please confirm whether you're able to see me and hear me. Yeah. All right, all right. So, shall we begin? All right. So, as you all know that stage one calls for IIM Amritsar are out. So, this session is all about discussing what are the things you should be cautious of. And so, I'll just share my screen. I hope the screen is visible and just feel free to ping in chats whatever queries you have. So we'll quickly look through this. Sorry, just a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah. So first of all, we'll quickly look through the processes IIM Amritsar has this time. So for a couple of years, they directly release the PI shortlist, but this time they have a the candidates are supposed to fill certain details in their dashboard, among which CV is the most important one. And these pre personal interview shortlists have come basis the minimum cutoff, which is there in the admission section of IIM Amritsar's website. So I would urge everyone to look at it. And the only thing I would like to tell that if you fall in the category and you believe that you fulfill all the sectional cutoffs and you have not received the mail, so you can write to IIM Amritsar within the stipulated time frame. That's the only thing we need to be cautious about at this point in time. Now, followed by this first stage, there would be second stage that would be of PI ranks on the composite score which you would be having in the pre-personal interview. So the main components are, which you also might be knowing, CAT performance, academic performance of your 10th, 12th, and graduation. All these details which you would have filled in the CAT form itself, work experience if it's applicable, and of course the diversity factors. So I'll quickly take you through the candidate dashboards mandates. So there is an option to fill in the CAT details wherein you are supposed to fill the CAT application number. Perhaps the CAT application number is auto-selected and all the other relevant details. Now comes one of the most important part, the program preference selection. So IIM Amritsar provides three programs. One is MBA core, another one is MBA in business analytics, and the third one is MBA in HR. So you need to select the preference accordingly. I would suggest that your first preference should be MBA core, followed by your particular interest among MBA in BA and MBA in HR. The CAT scorecard you need to upload, educational qualifications, all these need to be done in the same way which all of us have done in CAT forms and all the other forms, including IMK, etc. If you have relevant work ex, please fill in that along with the experience letter which they are asking for. Now, CV is something which we would be talking about at great detail today. Then, photograph and signature. Please ensure that you do a hygiene check before you fill in the submit button, because otherwise, if you find out in later stages that you have committed some mistake, it might be hard to rectify. So please be very mindful of that. So now this brings me to the most important section of today's session, which is on CV. So I believe that those of you who have work ex might be having certain experience of CV making. and all of us would have prepared at some or the other point in time. So this is a section wherein we would be talking much. So before I begin, is there anything which any of you would like me to clarify? I mean, were you all able to get through till this stage? So anything in particular which has been covered in the previous slides which you want me to talk about, or any clarifications you need? Natik, Amit, Vandana. Fair enough. So Harsh, uh, I will cover a basic framework and I may also show you my own CV. But template is not that important, but what you include in the content of the CV is more. So of course we would look at it. Anything else? So fair. Now let's talk about the CV itself. Right. So please ensure that your CV is a one pager and single side one. So let it not be beyond a single page because that is how you would have to progress in other parts as well. So a basic structure for a decent CV would include academic profile, wherein you would be including your 10th, 12th, and graduation marks. Now, please try to include the marks of all the subjects which are there in your mark sheet because certain colleges have that as rule. As far as I remember and know that IIM Amritsar does not put any mandate, but in academic profile section, please make sure that you have followed whatever you have been doing till CAT, XAT, etc. Now comes a very important section, which is internships and work experience. So, if you have prepared a CV earlier, you would know that herein it's a lot important that you describe what all things you have done. So, there's a STAR framework, which is situation, task, action, and result. So, I would urge you to follow that, wherein you explain about the task which was given to you, the actions which you took, and the results. So, if possible, try to add power words. So, the sentences should be framed in such a way that they are convincing and at the same time do not look as if you have borrowed it from somewhere. And it is always a good idea if you have certain figures, for example, 25% increase in website traffic, just an example, or anything of that sort is also desirable. Now, talking about life projects. So, Simadhi, yeah. So, talking about life projects, so it is one of the very important aspects of IIM Amritsar's or any other college interview you would be sitting in because the professors or the alumni who would be interviewing you are a lot interested in this. So, in life projects, if you have projects with certain MNCs or companies or even startups, that is desirable. And at the same time, if you have done certain research paper, you've written some research paper or done some research work as a part of your dissertation or part of your college capstone project, please ensure that you also mention in your CV and prepare well about it in your for your interviews because that is something which is very much expected of you and is admired by the professors as well. So all your interview can revolve around the single life project as well. Now, certifications. So, if you have certain relevant certifications or some unique ones. So, for example, if you have contributed to certain cause and you have received a particular certification, or the Google Digital Garage ones, or certain paid ones which are available in Coursera and which might as well differentiate you from other candidates, it is always a good idea to put in. Now, talking about positions of responsibility and accomplishments. So, POR can be across your internships, it can be across your job. If you have handled certain training project, or if you were the head boy or the head girl of your school, or if you were the committee head or even the committee member, these are common PORs. And accomplishments range from anywhere across academic accomplishments, which are competitions, Olympiads, or if you are an author of your or you have written some book or poems, that also can be added. The list goes long. Also, please try to include skills which are both soft as well as hard ones. So, core and functional skills, if you have, is always a good idea. And if you have a story to build around it, like how you believe that you have that particular skills, and the exemplification of it would always be well appreciated. Mention about your interests or hobbies, whatever you admire doing, and let it not be pretty cliche ones, or even if they are. So, for example, you are into books. So, instead of mentioning reading, you can particularly mention that you like reading behavioral economics or you like reading sci fi. So, choose good adverbs or adjectives which may make you stand out. And sometimes conversation can also go around languages. And if you are a polyglot, you speak a lot of languages, then it can always be a star in your profile. So this is all what I wanted to talk about CV per se. So if there is anything which you would like me to talk about, please let me know. Okay, there are a few questions in the chat box. Can I write final year project? It was not published. Yeah, you can of course mention it in the live project section, or just make a category of research paper. That also would be fine. I mean, anything else? And please feel free to unmute and ask as well. Mm. And YouTube channel. Yeah, of course you can write. That would be a good accomplishment, I would say. In case you're multiple. So, Amar, if you have a work ex and your CV is very comprehensive enough, so you would have to make a choice between which was very noted one. So, for example, you have done a research publication in first year versus you have done something in your final year of graduation. I would want to believe something which was a final year would be of more value and would be more granular. So, I would suggest that. But if your CV can accommodate multiple paper presentations, please go for it. And since you've mentioned presentations, I would say if those platforms were good or very that of repute, so that can be also a matter of categorization. 16K, yeah, you can always mention numbers if you are mentioning, and if you're mentioning about YouTube channel, it's good to even tell about the followers. Yes, Brahma, if you have not published it, but at the same time, you have certain verification that can be through any professor of yours in your undergrad or anyone, that would be better because right now IIM Amritsar is not asking for any verification of pointers, but at later stage in your life, when you go for jobs or sit for placement processes, you would have to verify. So at that point in time, it would be
Ma'am,
so esports, I didn't get iPhone, I mean, whatever your name is, sorry.
ma'am, I have one question. Ma'am, I don't have any work experience per se because I have just completed my post graduation in the month of June. However, I have multiple presentations and publications, as I mentioned. So, how should I include those presentations and publications in my CV and make it relevant? Could you kindly share a template with us, as in how we are supposed to frame it?
So I can show you my how I have framed my paper presentation, research paper. But Amar, have you done any internships?
No, ma'am, I don't have any internships or any work experience.
So, I mean, anything of that sort, were you into any life projects? I mean, if you have good research papers, it is always desirable. I'm really sorry. So, it's always desirable, but it would kind of overload your CV in one direction. That is what my concern was. So,
Right.
if you have nothing, I mean, if you just want to develop it into a one pager, then you might go for mentioning all the research publications. Then it is fine. Like if all of them are getting accommodated in one page, then it should be fine.
Actually, I was asking that since I'm a fresher and I don't have any relevant work experience or any internships for that matter, so how am I supposed to frame that one-page CV such that it accommodates my academic profile in its entirety, as well as the PORs and the other skills that I'm supposed to include in that?
Uh, all right. So do you have PORs?
Yeah, some.
I mean, how many? At least two or three.
Yes.
So then for you, you would have to write a bit about your PORs. I would suggest that not more than three research papers should be mentioned because then they would kind of assume that you are a very research centric person and that can or may backfire. So there is a possibility that you answer all those questions and just rock the interview. But there is a possibility that because those professors are into the field of research from time immemorial, so any which ways they are going to know more than us. So the very idea is that our CV or our profile should not look lopsided, and that is to bring it to the best of our interests. So
All
I
right.
would suggest that make the balance of all these things.
Right. Could you kindly share your template with us once so that I can just.
I'll do at the end. Let me see all
Mhm.
the other questions. I'll surely do. I did an internship unpaid. It does not matter whether it was paid or unpaid, Arjit. That's always fine. Yes, certifications for operations domain is also acceptable. So if you're currently pursuing, you can of course mention it and just tell them that till which point you have learned in that process. Oh, sorry, Prakhar. Uh, yes, yes, you can always write esports. Nothing wrong in that. Yes, Ridhima, that brings me to the last part of it, which is interview. So I'll for sure cover it. We'll cover that. Karthik. So Karthik, are you saying that in the CAD form or on paper you do not have any work ex, but in reality do you have? Is this what you are trying to say?
Yes, ma'am. Means I have not pursued it for full time, but I have like handled some of the accounts and handled it for some time. That is what I am saying.
So in the CAD form or in other forms you have not mentioned anything about work ex, right?
Yes, since I was not drawing the salary, I was working for it
Huh, I
willingly.
get that. I get that. I get that. So as I mentioned initially as well, I am Amritsar does not ask for any verification. But there are chances that some institutions would, and at later stages also. So only for IIM Amritsar CV, if you want to put that, you put it, or else you can mention it in your introduction as well. So it's now your call. But all those places wherein a CV gets verified, I think it would be a problem. I hope that answers Karthik.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
So there is no harm in mentioning about it verbally or even written while there's no verification, but it is always a good idea to have CV verification done. Okay, Amar, I'm reading yours. Include only the ones that have been certified. I mean, What do you mean by PORs of personal lives? Can you please elaborate?
Yes, sure. Like, while I was filling in the form for SPJIMR, they had a distinction made between two kinds of responsibilities, one on a personal level and the other on a professional level. And on a personal level, I had conducted a course on academic writing. So that was a position of responsibility which I had shared, where I had trained a certain number of scholars in the domain of academic writing. So can I include something like that, or does it need to be certified, something which I've done professionally under the purview of an institution?
So look again, if you have sufficient things to mention in your CV, then you might have to forego such kind of things. But if you believe that your CV would fall short of content, then this can be mentioned because, again, I repeat, IIM Amritsar does not ask for verification of the pointers, and something pursued by self or when you do not have an evidence or a seal, it becomes a problem wherein verification is required. So for IIM Amritsar CV, you can mention that, Amar.
All right. I mean,
Yes.
no, I do have a proof, as in, it's I do not have a certificate offered to me by an organization, but it's not that I don't have a proof of it. I do have a proof of it because of the documents that had been shared. But I'm just asking whether it will be relevant to mention that.
So, I mean, if you do not have sufficient things to include in your CV and you can weave a good story out of it because the POR which you are mentioning is pretty unique. So then it is fine. I mean, it is relevant. Of course, it is relevant. But again, my point is that if you have better PORs, so we do not expect any sort of main head to have more than two or at max three particulars. So if you have three good PORs, certified or approved by certain organizations, then I would recommend you to not include that POR. But if you do not have, then you can go with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that POR.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Yes, Himansh, I'm just coming to it in a minute or so. Yeah, I think I've answered. So, any other questions do you have um about CV per se? So, yes, I will be showing my CV to you because some of you asked how do you mention about research paper or live project. But anything else you would like to ask or need a clarification from my end? So, are we good to go about the last part, which is PI? Yeah, they did ask for CV last year, Shubham, and they were referring to our CVs while they were asking questions. So I'll come to it how CV becomes important in PI because to be the devil's advocate, IIM research PI range from anywhere between 4 minutes to 8 minutes at max. So my PI last year was around 3.5 to 4 minutes. So when we are really short duration of time, it becomes very important that what all you have mentioned in CV, you know it thoroughly because they may ask you only one question or two questions and ask you to leave. So, yes. So, first of all, I'll be talking about PI and then I'll be sharing the CV template. Hope that is fine. We have questions in chat. So, as per the notification they have uploaded in their admissions tab, it is going to be a personal interview. So once you have uploaded all the details, including your CV, in this pre-PI round, then the ranks would be calculated and the calls for PI would be rolled out. And ethics says that you are in a final year. No, no. For Amritsar, you need not do this. I think they have mentioned that if you are in a final year, you can be submitting of the penultimate semester. Um, just a minute, please, guys. So, I do not know your name, Samsung SM, sorry. So yes, if you're from agriculture background, it does give an element of diversity. So you should be mentioning about any projects which you would have done. So I assume that agriculture colleges collaborate with government institutions like NABARD, etc. So if you have done something like that, please include that. If you have rural immersion, certain internships, do that. And I think the format which I have given and which I was sharing, which is this one. So this, I think, everyone, irrespective of the background wherein they come from, certain things would remain common. Yes. Yes, Shubham, you can always add project presentations and field visits. There is no harm in doing that. I mean, that's a good pointer. Vidhi says, so Vidhi, which board do you belong to? I
I
mean,
belong to the
CBS.
CBSE board itself.
So CBSE board, I think, does not need because we have direct marks out of 500 or 600 which we have
Correct.
been, so we do not need that. For graduation you might need, and most colleges provide a CV conversion formula. Mostly it is at the behind of your mark sheet or something.
So I've checked
So
my transcript. It's not there, which is why I'm a little confused.
does your transcript have a CGPA, or
It
it
has a
has
CGP
percent?
out of 4.
It has a CGPA out of 4. And you, how do you convert? I mean, you convert it in 100 for percentage, is it like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no really a formula that's been out there or that is standardly acceptable or this, that they give. So
So
what
I'd
I've done for
suggest,
my CAT
yeah, yeah,
form is that,
yeah, yeah.
4 is to 100. So what my
Mm-hmm,
CGPA is
got
to
it.
that. Like normal
I
जैसे
would
अपन करते हैं.
suggest,
Yeah.
right. So I would suggest you to write to IIM Amritsar once for this because you have time and let's not take any risk. By the way, it would not hamper as much because
Okay.
some IIMs directly say that you can assume it into 100, but some
Correct.
have certain multiplication factor. So there isn't any
So
benefit
you
in
would
taking risk.
suggest sending them a mail, is it?
Yeah, and they would reply. I mean, they do reply. I am Amritsar does. I know for a
Got
reason.
it.
So
Okay. Cool.
Yes,
Thanks.
ma'am.
Tushar says, huh.
See, ma'am, I have only one doubt that while during uploading my CAT form, so similarly, our graduation college don't have the conversion formula from CGPA to percentage marks. So I just calculated that total mark obtained by total full marks, and my percentage somewhere comes around to be 74.13. But then now I have gave a call to our university, and they gave the conversion percentage from the CGPA to percentage. So now my percentage, I would say, is much large, but 74.30. But in CAT form, I uploaded 74.13. And now my result comes out to be 74.30. So is there be any trouble? Like a point one for
Mm,
negligible difference. No such a big change.
I mean, it should not ideally be because the bracket would be the same. But I mean, avoid. Please be uniform across all these things. And again, I also would suggest you to write to the
Oh, okay, okay, ma'am.
once. I mean, it is not a problem, but why to take it as
Yes, ma'am. I
risk?
have also wrote a mail this evening. I am just waiting
I
for their
mean,
reply from their
they
side.
might reply, na?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
yeah, yeah, in the
Yeah.
evening.
Okay,
Oh,
ma'am.
I'll just quickly browse to, yeah. Just can you just give me a moment? Just Sorry, guys, it was an urgent call. Um, so, Tushar, you should be very honest about it, but a bit is fine. A little bit up and down. It need not be very honest, but if you're trying to build a story, it's fine, but it should sound true. So, Preeti, again, I've given the basic structure of it. It would depend from case to case. I have included enough like what all you can add in internships, how would you frame your pointers. So, please, if you could let me more details, I would be able to help better. Yes, Ranjan, IIM Amritsar conducts online from couple of years. This year also, I suppose, because they release calls in really a lot of number. So, Ranjan, what you have shared is something of the time when CBSE used to give CGPA, but from quite some time, CBSE evaluates marks out of 100. So then we need to follow the percentage thing only. Shubham, Master Board more time. When do I need to upload the conversion certificate? I not have conversion, but if they directly tell you the multiplication factor, then you should include. But if it is not, if it is written any other thing in the backside, there is no use of uploading that, na? Yeah, college extracurricular activity certificate. But I think then if you are not including them in positions of responsibility, Preeti, then it is fine. But it should not be an overlap that you are mentioning about that particular club or committee or CCA in POR as well, and also in certifications. Amar says if the BI lasts for 3 months, how much time do you spend? If they ask for introduction, you need to any which ways end in 1 minute. But most of the time, they have not asked for introduction. They directly begin with something. What is your favorite subject? Or you have mentioned in CV XYZ and explain about it like that. So fine, people. I'll be talking about the PI. You have made me speak about PI in a little bit, but we would go at it in details. So yeah, some of you were asking that where should you be finding good source? So we have the current CETR GDPI course going on for Road to Cat 99. So please feel free to check out from the website, and these are details of it. You would be getting further details in the website itself, and I can assure that all the mentors are really experienced, and we have a lot of good sessions, daily current affairs practice. Also, a lot is being done on VAT and GDPI. So yes, you would really find it worthy. So talking about the PI format and tips. So this is what was a matter of concern for a lot of you. So interview duration can be anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes only. And it is really, if your interview lasts for 8 minutes, it would be a bingo because you have really done a good job. And I think it does not matter. If they want to ask you, they would ask you. But most often the interview gets over in somewhere around 5 6 minutes. So it is acad focused as for other IIMs. So academics are non-negotiable. You might have a work-ex, a very thorough or enriched work-ex, but you need to be very good with academics, especially the subjects which are taught in B schools and expected of you, like economics, marketing, or if you are from a commerce background, a good hold of accountancy, finance, business studies never harms. And same goes for statistics since they have a business analytics program and the interviews are common. So the focus is on statistics, and as a lot of you have mentioned about research papers, so you should be holding a good grip in statistics per se. So one thing I would like to tell you that these interviews are very rapid fire and with minimal cross questions. So they would listen more to you, they would throw a question. But if you want to prove yourself in a better way, a good tip would be to say less. I mean, maintain the brevity, be as crisp as you can, and then communicate. So in other interviews, it's fine. Like if something, so for example, a lot of you have had research publications, and I know that it is a very comprehensive topic, and you might want to speak a lot about it. But please stop at a point wherein you introduce the research area and maybe tell the technique which you use and let them cross question. So that is a way wherein you are able to engage them and you are able to open roof for other questions as well. So do not be very elaborate in your answers is the single line tip. So as I mentioned earlier as well, heavy emphasis on graduation subjects, work CV, as you are already uploading, they would be looking at your CV, they would be asking for it. They might not ask, they might also not ask from you from it, but they would be mostly asking from your CV. Current affairs also, like there are two, three professors. So one mostly is a lot inclined towards whatever is happening at that point in time around us. So be okay with it. Introduction should not last more than a minute at any case. Also, try and link all the academic things which you are preparing to the real business world or whatever is happening around geopolitically. So, for example, a lot of you mentioned, some of you mentioned certification and operations. So, you that can be linked to whatever is happening in Venezuela and how it would be impacting the global supply chain. So, if you're able to speak about it, it would give a good impression. So, answering strategies, of course, you should be directly telling them the answer. So that hook which we talk about needs to be created in 5-10 seconds and then go about elaborating it. Do not follow the approach that you are giving an introduction, setting a context, and then coming to an answer. They may stop you in between, and then you might not be able to even convey the correct answer. So that is all from my side. Now I'll open the forum for discussion. And yes, I said that I would be sharing my CV, so I'll do that. Just give me a moment. And I'll urge you to just not take a screenshot of it. Just see, because you would get lot of templates. Sorry about that. So I mean, you may look at it. So those who were asking about research project, so one project, then at max 3 pointers, mention the data or the numbers, and then end it. This is what it is all about. Mm. Don't make it a fancy one by choosing a word template. A normal template with grids and tables should be fine. Yes. Just a minute. So, Amar, I think I answered. Akriti, IIM Amritsar does not have any SOP, so I did not mention it. I mean, if you want, we have resources in the website, you could check that. Sakshi, I mean, I covered that. If you happen to join a little late, I mean, I can arrange for sharing this PPT and that can help you. So, Amar, you would not be expected to know a lot about subjects which are taught at IIM. So, it is very fine if you mention you focus on your core subjects, but it is never a bad idea to have a little bit of finance, marketing, economics knowledge. I mean, it would help you, but they won't be expecting very deep knowledge from you. But of course, you should be very thorough of the subjects you have learned. PI is conducted online for sure because they won't call you from Karthik. There is a window for I mean, there's a tab for including photographs. So ideally, CVs do not include photograph. I mean, the sequence is the same which I mentioned which is there in my CV, as well as which I mentioned in the slides as well. But again, there is no particular format or thumb format, but this is how generally it is followed. I mean, Sakshi SOP is generally a mix of your introduction. I mean, SOP is more or less a summary of your CV, I would say. And also, it varies from college to college. So, I mean, that is what I can tell about it. So it begins with a brief about your background, your academic thing, and if you have work ex or internship, about that, about your hobbies and interests, and it ends with how you are inclined towards whatever is there in IIM Amritsar or any particular college. So it kind of ends with a self pitch sort of a thing, which is not too direct, but it is kind of unique to the college. So a good idea about writing an SOP is going through the mission vision statement and then somehow adding that. 12 subjects, not necessarily if you have done graduation. I mean, they won't expect of you. They do not have VAT or extempore. They do have direct PI. I mean, not particularly. They won't focus on static GK or something, but current affairs, in a sense, current affairs. I mean, everything, geopolitics, business. I mean, they kind of get attracted when you talk about business news, but it is always fine. Sorry. See, I mean, you would find a lot of templates over LinkedIn. And since I mentioned that what you mentioned inside your CV is more important than a template, the one which I shared is good enough. If you want, I can share the presentation slide once. The screenshot I can put and you can follow that sequence. Just give me a moment. So this image I have shared. So the flow of the bullets can ideally be the flow of your CV heads. So Amar, CV is a very sober and decent document. So any font like Arial or Times New Roman is a bit curved for that reason, but Arial should work with a size of 11.5 to 11. I mean, do not try to make it too short or too minute so as to put in a lot of stuff, but else it's really fine. I can share my CV one more time, Ram. I think it was fine. CV, ideally 1 page, 1 side is appreciated. I mean, you will have to make a trade-off. What are the pointers you want to include and what are the ones you do not want to? Yeah, Shita. Hope that helps. So, yeah. So, all right, guys, anything else you would want to know? Yashita, once you fill in this form and you get a shortlist for next stage, you would also get the interview date on your portal, and that would also be communicated via email. But to answer you, they happen anywhere in between February, March. It can start from late January, but it usually ends in second, third week of March. So you may expect a date between this timeline. All right. So anything else you would like to ask, guys? Yeah, so I think we've covered most of the things, all the things which will help you ace the first stage, of course, and make a good CV, and second stage as well. I wish you the very best for all your interviews and other calls, and feel free to get in touch. Thank you. So I have DM put in my email ID as well. And if you are a member of our GDPI course, so you might have access to my Telegram ID. So there also you can DM. Most welcome, people. Wishing you the very best.